Hello, everyone. Now you've seen a picture of me, you can now listen to my voice. Here I am. My name is Penny Ross, and I'm based at the Coleraine campus of Northern Regional College. For the next few weeks, I'm taking over your online learning sessions while Moira has a lovely rest from doing it. Um, and you can see here that if you've got any questions or need to ask me anything, you can email me at any time on penelope.ross@nrc.ac.uk. Okay, then, so here's the plan for the next few weeks. As you can see, this week we are going to do some online learning entitled An Introduction to the Psychodynamic Approach. This is your very last theory. You'll be delighted to know that we are going to look at in this unit in communication. And next week, we're going to look at the application of this psychodynamic approach. By the end of this session, anyway, you should be able to understand that the psychodynamic approach really does lend itself to psychoanalysis techniques. And so, obviously, in communication, in health and social care, this is very important. But also, next week, you're going to find out that the psychodynamic approach actually informs a lot of other types of therapy. So, art therapy, for example, and play therapy is another one. So, we'll be looking at a few of those next week. After that week, we're going to spend the rest of my time with you looking at some very specific communication strategies which will help you to write about, with a wee bit of luck, your learning outcome 2 on your assignment. Okay, guys, I just want to remind you of the reason why you're completing this online learning. Well, one of the reasons, and I'm going to remind you now of some of the learning outcomes that you need to be able to answer on your very first communication assignment. So, first of all, we've got P1.1, where you have to apply relevant theories of communication to health and social care contexts. And obviously, this is where we've been concentrating on up until now. And I'm going to finish this off with the psychodynamic approach and how that is applied to health and social care contexts in terms of communication. Then you have to write about or indeed analyse techniques and strategies that you have used or could use if some of you have yet to get a placement to support service users who have specific communication needs. So I'll be continuing on after the next couple of weeks, and we're going to be looking at some of those specific strategies that we need to use in communication that go beyond perhaps what you've already thought about. And lastly, for your assignment, you are going to look at P2.1, where you've got to explain how this communication process is influenced by values and cultural factors. So for the last bit of my section of this online learning, we will be looking at, we'll be doing a week of how the communication process is influenced by your own personal values. And also we'll do another week of how the communication process is influenced by cultural factors. So I just want to reassure you all that we are going through and teaching you as much as we can to help you achieve this very first assignment. Okay, guys, so let's get going and start this week's learning. There are some learning outcomes for you to consider as you're going along, and hopefully by the end of this week's session, you should be able to recall Sigmund Freud's biography, or at least some of it. You should be able to identify the key terms of the psychodynamic approach. You should be able to recognise the importance of the unconscious mind. You should be able to apply Freud's psychosexual stages, and you should be able to apply his ego defense mechanisms. By the way, guys, at the end of this class or this short session of online learning, there's going to be a survey. It's quite important that we evaluate how we're doing, and depending on what you say, I might change things around a wee bit for next time. Okay, guys, so in response partly to your online survey results, I've tried to design this online week to be slightly different to what you might have been used to. It's partly down to the fact that teachers, of course, work in different ways. But I've tried to design this online learning for this week to encompass smaller learning chunks. So you'll see that the whole week has been sort of split up into smaller chunks of learning for you. And what that means is that you should be able to go in and complete a 10-minute piece of learning, and then that bit will be complete. You can go off and have a cup of tea or do whatever it is you've got to do, and then you could possibly then come back later on, or while you're a passenger in the car going somewhere on your mobile devices, you could maybe then complete another little bit of learning, and so forth and so forth. So I've tried to do it this way, and you should be able to see as you go down the activities that you can complete smaller chunks at a time and then go away and leave them. We'll see how you get on with that. In terms of the kind of learning that's on this week's online learning class, there's lots of different things. So again, in response to the survey, teachers can't really do everything for everybody at all of the time, but we are very aware that you've all got different learning styles. So I've tried to incorporate into these online learning bits lots of different things. So you've got some video clips, some of which are more entertaining definitely than potentially others. Some of these clips are very, very short indeed, and some of them are slightly longer. I think the longest one's only 12 minutes though. You've got some reading to do. I've tried to then give you some reading from websites. I will put some other online reading on for you through our library later on. There is moments in time where you might actually have to listen to me again, press an audio button so you can just listen away. And then you've got some note taking maybe to do with some of these video clips. Okay, so really it's up to you to see how you respond to this online learning. But just a quick note to say that in terms of what you get out of it, the saying goes that whatever you put into it means that you're going to get more out of it, and the same goes with online learning content. So you will also find as you go down that there are lots of spaces where you can interact with this learning content. So there is a chat page, and I'm going to try and make myself available to you every Monday from about 7:30 to 9 o'clock. I'll be there at the other end of a computer, so you can chat to me via the chat button. Of course, if you want to chat at any other time, you can always put your questions up, and I'll periodically check that as we go along. There's also a glossary activity. Now then, guys, this is up to you. So most certainly in any of these theories, there are lots of new words to learn and lots of terminology.